Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Benchwire Season 2, Episode 14. We got a lot of great content to talk about today. If you guys want to see more, drop a like, subscribe, do the good stuff you guys always do, and let's get started. Justin, how are we doing today?
I am doing quite well. We're in college, so final week's unraveling. I get to relax now. I get to watch some football.
Yes,
I get to do what we love, and I got to celebrate a very special paisano birthday the other day.
I know. It
So
was a great day.
22.
I'm
Welcome to the club, man.
22. Yeah.
So
Yeah, but Tommy DeVito, he came up clutch on my birthday Monday night. Let's talk about it. Game-winning drive at MetLife. Man was balling. Had he didn't have an explosive passing yard day. It was like 170, and he had 70 rushing yards. But hey, he was making all the right reads. He had a few errant throws, but all in all, he was a third string quarterback. You can't expect much more. I was happy with it. It made me happy, put a smile on my face. Some of the throws he was making, down the stretch, that 2-minute drive at the end, Wandale was getting involved. You got Saquon in the Wildcat. Everything was going according to plan. I was a happy man. What do the Giants do from here, though? That's the question. Is he going to compete for the quarterback one spot next year? Is this him showcasing himself, or do you think he possibly could be the career backup for the Giants, or he might have a fighting shot at beating the quarterback one and taking over for Daniel Jones next year? Well, before you answer that, I wanted to say Daniel Jones probably won't be back week 1, so there's a chance he could start next year, but that depends in all season. Do we draft a quarterback? I don't know, because we could get a draft pick, and it could be a high draft pick, it could be a top 10 pick, but they keep winning. That might not be a top 10 pick. So what do you think the Giants do from here with how successful Tommy Cutlets has been?
you do have to give the man credit. He has been playing pretty good football, just not to the elite talent of the other NFC East quarterbacks. Dak, Jalen, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing himself into quarterback one competition. I will give him that. I do. Tyrod Taylor is probably not going to be back with the team, and like you said, Daniel Jones probably not going to start week 1, so he probably will be out of the training camp battle. But if I'm the Giants, I would probably look at a quarterback. Doesn't have to be round 1. You could bring a guy round 2. That Seattle pick for the Leonard Williams trade. That could be a spot where you could pick Penix or Jaden Daniels and bring
Yeah.
them in to compete. I think he has earned that. Do I think he's a franchise quarterback one? I don't know. I haven't really seen much yet. He's been beating up on some of the lesser known teams. While Daniel Jones has had the gauntlet, he had to go through tougher teams, and the roster is not as good to compete with those teams. But gotta give him credit. He is taking these wins now against lesser competition than they have in the first few weeks, and he's doing his job. He's getting the team the positions to win, which I picked the Packers. I didn't see that coming, so you gotta give the man credit. But yeah, I see him competing for that QB1 job. I don't know if he's going to win it. I think if they draft the Penix or Daniels, I think the talent may win him that battle. They win them the battle over DeVito, but gotta give him credit. I think he's played himself to QB2 for the team. I don't think he's leaving New York.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I believe he will be on the roster next year. He's earned that, ability to be on the roster because he's been that good, winning these games, beating up on these bad teams. And I agree with you. Daniel Jones, when he played, he had to go through the Niners, the Cowboys, the Seahawks, all these NFC playoff teams. DeVito steps in. Yeah, it's good and always win these games, but he hasn't been playing that high of a competition. He's been playing the Patriots. They're dog shit. The Commanders, they're pretty bad. And he beat the Packers. The Packers right now, they're a playoff team, but they're below 500. So he hasn't beat a winning team yet. There will be a winning team on the schedule in a week or so. Christmas coming up. So the Eagles, that's going to be a true test. If he wins that, then maybe. maybe we could talk about possibly he could be quarterback one, but I don't think he's quarterback one. I think he will win the right to compete to be the starter until Jones comes back, or they draft a rookie and then that rookie eventually will take over time. But yeah, what he's been doing, it's been great. It's a great feel good story and all that. But I'm happy as a Giants fan winning these games. It's a fun little meme on the internet. I'm liking it. As a Paisan myself, it's been a good feel-good story.
Yeah, he's branded himself too. He's kind of like selling himself, putting himself out there, getting clicks, and that's
Exactly.
going to help him get like brand deals with other guys, like in the New York market, maybe nationally because he's becoming a national figure a little bit too, just because of the market and everything there in New York. So I gotta give him credit for that. He's capitalizing on being a starter. He's branding himself pretty well.
Yeah, so gotta respect the Paisan. All right, let's talk.
Absolutely.
Let's switch gears here. We'll talk about a different team. Talk about one of those dog shit teams I was talking about, the AFC East team, the New England Patriots. There's a rumor that has came out on the internet that Bill Belichick will be parting ways with the Patriots in this offseason. It was discussed in their Germany game they had this, I guess, like a few weeks ago. Robert Kraft wants to move on and, wants to, change the culture with the Patriots. Bill Belichick might be retiring. He might be going elsewhere, maybe coaching the Chargers. Who knows? What do you think? Is this a good move for the Patriots, moving off of Bill Belichick? And do you think Bill Belichick will retire or will he continue his coaching career?
Um, Bill Belichick's just a football lifer. I don't know if Bill Belichick just sits in retirement. I don't know what he would do without himself. So I think he's going to still coach. I guess everyone's pointing to the Chargers, and I get you have a established quarterback there, and you have a pretty good defense. It's just the scheme's not working right now. They're giving up a lot of points that they shouldn't be. They got talent there, but if you put a Belichick there, maybe he could turn something around. Maybe Kellen Moore goes, he brings Josh McDaniels, and have Justin Herbert, and maybe they could do something there. So that'll be interesting. Are the Patriots right for doing it? Yeah, because here's why. Mac Jones, his first year with Josh McDaniels there, he was solid. He was pretty good. And then Bill Belichick kind of ruined him with Joe Judge and Matt Patricia calling plays. It kind of stunted his development. And
Yep.
now, like, he has Bill O'Brien there as the OC, and he's just kind of trying to get Mac Jones back to where he was, but it's just been a work in progress. So I think, even though Bill Belichick's probably the greatest coach of all time, undisputedly, I think his tenure has kind of ran out, and it's time for a new voice to be in there to lead this team, to help Mac Jones get back, give him another shot. And if it doesn't work out from there, then maybe try to draft someone. But yeah, I think Bill Belichick leaves. Is it the right decision to retire? He has nothing left to prove. He could retire today, and everyone will call him the greatest coach until someone in the future passes him up, possibly. But I don't see that happening. I see him going to a team like the Chargers, someone with an established quarterback where Belichick could bring McDaniels with him. He could run the defense. He could run the offense. So yeah, that's what I think is going to happen there.
Yeah, I think he's gonna. Well, obviously, I think he's gonna leave the Patriots with that rumor coming out. But the Chargers, I feel like that is a great option if he decides to coach. But I feel like he's leaning 50-50 on either coaching or being an analyst. We saw him on College Game Day, right? This past weekend, Army Navy game. That was pretty cool. So like he does have a future there if he wants to work in that industry, the broadcasting industry. I feel like he would be good as a commentator and all that.
But his
But
press conferences are terrible, though.
yeah, his press conferences are terrible. I feel like he does that on purpose, though. He doesn't want to show like all this emotion, but I feel like he has that in him, and that's why he's one of the best coaches of all time. He has that in him. He just doesn't show it to the public. So I feel like there's a hidden side to Bill Belichick that I feel like could be unleashed possibly if he decides to hang it
Yeah.
up. So I feel like
We'll see in
that
the doc,
option
right?
is there.
We'll see in the documentary, like the Patriots documentary.
Yeah,
It's pretty
exactly. The documentary that's coming out eventually. I don't know when the time frame for that is, but like we're talking about the Patriots Dynasty documentary. If you guys were didn't know, but yeah, I feel like he's going to be leaning 50-50. It depends. If I feel like the Chargers job will be open, I feel like he will heavily consider it. But there has to be other teams out there too that are going to want him, and he's going to try and find the best situation. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. I don't know like the teams he would like go to. It'd probably be
Commanders maybe because they have a lot of
Commanders.
cap space and they have a pretty good defense. So he can, if he
He
comes
could
in,
go
he
there.
can pluck him in to that GM role too, and he can make decisions and he can improve the team with all the cap space and bring guys he wants in. And he can also bring McDaniels there. So that's an option. Maybe the Saints job comes open. I don't know. He won't take the Panthers job. That's just a mess. And
How about the Bears?
Ownership. It's interesting. He got the draft picks, and I think he has a little bit of cap to work. Does he want to go to Chicago? Maybe.
I don't know.
I would be interested to see that.
Yeah.
I think
do they keep Fields, or do they draft a quarterback, or do they give him more weapons and get him Marvin Harrison? Like, there's a lot of question marks.
I don't think he's bad. I had a feeling. I was the psychopath that picked him to beat the Lions. I saw that first game, and and I knew that they can be had with them. And I don't think Eberflus is a bad coach. I think
I feel like they're in the middle of the rebuild still.
Does he still leave after the season? Yeah, probably. I don't know if Bill Belichick is the way I would go there. I would go someone who can coach like this generation because they're pretty young. Someone younger minded, maybe
offensive minded.
I like Justin Fields though. I think he just needs the right pieces of good O-line. He can do it all. I think he's a good.
Yeah, he's solid, man.
And yeah, I think we've been debating since I've been on the show. Did they take Caleb Williams? I don't think they need to. I think someone will overpay to get that number one spot, and they can have at least for 2 firsts this year and 2 firsts next year, at least, and then probably some mid-round picks.
Yeah,
because that number one pick is so valuable. So I'll give Fields another chance. Get another coach in there.
Yeah, I totally agree. But let's change topics here. So let's talk about the NFC, right? So what happened over the weekend is the Niners won. So they're the 1 seed. How are they the 1 seed? It's because the Cowboys beat the Philadelphia Eagles. So right now, the NFCs look like the Niners at 1, Cowboys at 2. I forget who 3 and 4 is. I think Bucks are 4. Yeah. And then Eagles dropped the 5. And then it was like 6 is either the Seahawks.
I think it's the Seahawks.
And then 7's the Packers. Right?
I forget.
I think. All right. But
6 and 7.
Let's talk about the top 3 teams, I guess you could say. That really wasn't my question. Let's talk about the top 3 teams. So, yeah, how does it shake up now? So, the Niners, they beat up on 2 of the best teams in NFC, right? They beat up on the Cowboys, and they beat up on the Eagles. The Cowboys, on the other hand, they split with the Eagles this season, and they got demolished by the Niners. And then the Eagles, they split with the Cowboys, and they got spanked at home to the Niners. My question to you is, how do you see the top 3 teams, and how would you rank those top 3 teams right now? Who do you view as, I guess, the Super Bowl contenders coming out of the NFC?
Well, just going off recency bias, it's got to be Niners 1, Cowboys 2, Eagles 3, as much as it pains me to say that. Niners are the most complete team with football. With Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel in the lab, they're undefeated. When they're hurt was when they skidded off a little bit, lost 3 consecutive games. So you got to put them at 1 just because when they're all healthy, they're the best team of football. They're the best constructed team of football. In Dallas, the way they've been playing lights out. Dak's been, in my eyes, the MVP of football this year. He's been balling out. He's been doing great. CeeDee Lamb's been playing really well too. And Brandon Cooks is coming along. Jake Ferguson's been nice. Brandon Aubrey's been a clutch kicker that they've been missing, especially last playoff run. And the defense with Dan Quinn, they fly around to get to the football. They They fumbled the Eagles 3 times Sunday, which I mean, I don't know how that happens. They just cough up the ball, I guess, apparently, all of a sudden. But no, you gotta give them credit. Even though we split with the Cowboys, doesn't mean that the Eagles can't figure it out and make noise in the playoff. But the way I see it is the road to Vegas, the road to the Super Bowl is going to probably go through San Fran, if I had to guess. So
Yeah,
whether the gauntlet of games like Dallas playing Miami and Buffalo coming up, so they could drop one of them, we could get number two, just because
yeah,
their schedule
very
kind
doable.
of out. So, not to say the Eagles can't make the NFC Championship. And we know that Dallas's track record in the playoffs hasn't been the best, but as we currently sit, I'm just projecting in the future a little bit. But as we currently sit, I got to put the Dallas at 2, above the Eagles at 3, with San Fran on top.
Yeah, I agree with that right now because, yeah, recency bias, right? The Niners have been the best team in football when they're all healthy. Brock Purdy, I think you got to put him in the MVP conversation. I think he's right up there with Dak, but I would give Dak the notch right now. Yeah, their defense has been playing lights out, and ever since the addition of Chase Young, Nick Bosa has been able to get to the quarterback more as of late. So you got to give him credit there. And who's their coordinator? Steve Wilkes. Ever
DC, yes,
since Steve,
yes.
yeah. So ever since I think Steve Wilkes, he was in the box like the first half of the season. Ever
Hmm.
since he like went down on the field, the defense has been better. So there's some coaching adjustments there, and the Niners have been on point the last few weeks, and they're beating up on these, NFC like playoff teams. So you got to give them credit there. And
Hmm.
then Dallas, yeah, they were a little shaky in the beginning of the year, but now they're trying to find their stride, and they are. They're getting hot at the right time. They just beat the Cowboys, or not, the Cowboys just beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys just beat the Eagles, and they just beat the Seahawks. It's two NFC teams, so they're getting hot as of late. Dak's looking really good. He's having a career year. CD Lamb has been on fire and all that. And then the Eagles, yeah, I feel like they did drop off a little bit, but I feel like, yeah, they could still contend for the NFC Championship game. But I would worry about the only thing I'm really worried about with the Eagles right now is their defense. I feel like the linebacker core is a weak point right now in their team, and their
For sure.
secondary. Like they gotta find a way to tackle and stick with these elite receivers. As of late, they haven't been able to do that. I don't know if it's a coaching scheme or whatnot, but they have the talent on the defense. They just have to play lights out, and they can't start out slow. I know they won some of the games they started out slow, but against these NFC teams, they haven't been able to compete with them after being down in the first half. So you have to be able to start out fast if you want to beat these NFC teams, and they haven't shown it yet. And I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on Sirianni? Do you still think he's one of the best coaches in the league? Or do you think that now that he's dropped some games late, what the questionable maybe hiring decisions he made with the coordinators, do you agree with who he hired so far? I know they're still 10-3. They still have a good record, but there has been some questionable coaching decisions, and I want to get your thoughts on that.
Mm, at the time, when I guess starting with the side of the ball, when he promoted Brian Johnson, he had OC experience coaching at University of Florida, and I thought that was a pretty good hire just because of the rapport he had with Hurts, dating back to when Hurts was a kid, and Jalen Hurts' dad was coaching Brian Johnson as a quarterback in high school. So I thought that connection was interesting. It made sense to have a OC and the quarterback on the same page. And you can see the growing pains there a little bit, the slow starts, and so they do kind of come back better in the second half. But the past 2 weeks against better teams, they didn't score. They didn't score a touchdown at all last game. So whatever happened, whatever adjustments, there was no adjustments. What I'm trying to say. So I don't know. It just that's gonna take time. He said he wasn't gonna give up. Strip Brian Johnson of the play calling. He's still going to call plays. We'll see.
Yeah, I did see that.
We'll see if he does a better job in Seattle. I don't know. This I agree with you. The linebacking and the secondary with Bradbury and Slake getting out there, it's our weak point defensively. Um, they just simply aren't good tackling, and I don't think the scheme is helping either. I don't know if that's necessarily Desai or not, because if he's a Vic Fangio disciple, and if you watch a Miami game, their defense puts pressure on the ball, they blitz, they do this and that to confuse the defense. Desai's really not doing that. So is it because the Eagles organization wants them to play a certain style of defense with the soft zones? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if it's desired the organization want to play defense a certain way. But it's going to be interesting because he was with Seattle last year. It'll be interesting to see how he stops Geno Smith and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and Kenneth Walker and those guys. It's going to be an interesting test for him. But yeah, I don't think Sirianni is a bad coach at all. I think the game plans he could be better in the installs and some of the adjustments he could be better at. But I think as far as like leading guys and rallying, galvanizing the troops and bringing them all together, make sure the locker room's connected, he's good at that. He's a good leader of men. I don't know. He's probably flawed a little bit in schemes and stuff like that, but they have figured it out in the past. They have beat the Chiefs. They came back. They rallied, and same with Buffalo. So I don't think he's a bad coach. I think these two NFC teams they played are the real deal, and they got exposed for it, for their lack of schemes, their lack of creativity, play calling, and on defense, the terrible scheme there. So I just think it's inexperience. There could be changes in the offseason, but they're just going to ride the wave this year and see what happens there. But a lot of work to be done. But I'm not out on Sirianni. No one should be just yet. It's too soon. We just came off a
Yeah, exactly. He's been successful in the playoffs, right? His first year, he got to the playoffs. They lost to the Bucks, right? And then
we lost to Brady. Yeah.
And then the second year, right? Last year, Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right? And now
Last
this is his third year?
And we started off bad the first year, and then we made a playoff push. We got in late, and then we got smacked by Tampa Bay. But he's made the playoffs every year so far, so it's kind of silly to just say
he's been successful in that way. So you can't.
Everyone's quick to fire, but he's been doing good. I think like if he had a Frank Reich there, it would help him. I think Frank Reich's a good.
I feel like
designer schemer that would help him
because I
think that's where Sirianni lacked a little bit in that department, but hey,
yeah,
it's all right.
I feel like you could hire him though, like right now, like as an assistant coach. He doesn't have to be the OC, and if you don't like Brian Johnson, you fire him at the end of the year, and then you promote Frank Reich, the OC. I don't see why that can't happen.
Possible. I think that will happen just because of their relationship.
Yeah. And then, all right, let's change topics. So, Justin, let's talk about Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert for the Chargers. He's out for the season now, and a very disappointing season. I believe he fractured his right index finger, and they had to shut him down for the rest of the season. Do you think Justin Herbert is possibly a top 5 quarterback in this league? And you think if they get the right people around him that he could be a playoff contender with the Chargers?
Well, is he top 5? He's top 5 talent. Is he top 5 right now? We got the Mahomes, the Burrow, Hurts, Josh Allen. Is he number 5? Is Dak number 5? I don't know. I think that's a fair debate. You could debate who's better between Herbert or Dak right now. But if you're going off of this year, probably Dak. So I would say Herbert's a bona fide top 10 quarterback, and that's enough to win a Super Bowl. And he made the playoffs last year, but again, I think coaching was the reason why they lost that. They blew that game to Jacksonville. And what was your second question?
Do you think that they could get, if they get more pieces around, that they'll be a playoff contender for, I guess, years to come?
I don't think there's quite many holes to fix. Maybe the offensive line could always get beefed up. The defensive line maybe to help the secondary out a little bit as well. I think they got the running backs. They got the pass catchers too to make things happen. the players on the offensive side of the ball. I just think the biggest thing is kind of like what we were saying earlier is just coaching, right? It just I don't think
Yeah.
Kellen Moore's been bad, but kind of splitting carries with Kelly and Eckler. I think Eckler needs to be featured more. I think there's some mistakes there. They need to run the ball more instead of Herbert throwing it constantly. So I do think they need maybe a slight change of philosophy there. Not that Kellen Moore's bad or anything, but change there and a new coach with better schemes. I think that's their biggest need. Not so much the players, just more so putting their players in better positions to win because they should have won. They should win more games. They're too talented to be where they're at as constructed. They should have a better record.
All
They
right.
should be not they shouldn't be winning the division per se, but they should be in the wild card picture right now. But they're not.
Yeah, I feel like they should be, but they're not. And I give that. I think that's blame to Brandon Staley. I would say he should be on the hot seat and he should be fired at the end of the year. He just has not been the guy for the Chargers.
Yeah,
Now,
he will be
so if the Chargers are in a situation, which I think they will be, right?
for
They're
sure.
going to be hiring a head coach, right? So, say Bill Belichick leaves the Patriots, do you hire him or do you hire a offensive minded guy to be your next head coach? Let me know. What do you think?
No, I think you could. I think that's one team that can afford to have Belichick. I think they have enough veterans around there, like Belichick kind of type guys there, for it to work and make sense for Belichick to go there. I think that's probably why everyone's picking him to go there. And I think a McDaniel system, like an Eckler can be like your James White, and you have he has weapons to work with. If McDaniel's goes with Belichick to Los Angeles, it's all hypothetical, but I think that could work. I think that's probably the most feasible spot for Belichick to end up, and the most feasible way for people to be like, okay, for the players to rally around them. I think that's probably the best case. So yeah, I would be down to see that. I think that would be a good match.
All right. Yeah. I think as well, like Bill Belichick, if he's there, I would go grab him. But like, say a guy like, I don't know, Eric Bieniemy, he's available. Who would you rather have?
No,
Belichick,
give me
right?
Belichick with McDaniel.
Yeah, I'd take Belichick too.
No.
Because I feel like right now, the candidates that are out there, there's not a guy that like grabs my attention like Bill Belichick does to be
I
my
don't know,
head
maybe
coach.
like the San
Bill
Fran,
Belichick is the greatest coach of all
maybe
time.
the San
And if
Fran
I,
OC or the Miami OC grabs your attention. I don't know their names off the top of my head, but Ben
yeah,
Johnson, the Lions OC, has been a top candidate. I don't know, they're just unproven, and if
I'd rather have Bill
they're sitting
Belichick.
there like, hey, I need to get to the playoffs. I need to know how to progress deep into the season. And hey, Belichick has had success with Mahomes in regular season playoffs when he had Brady. So bring him in. He knows he could establish a good game plan against Reed and Mahomes to slow them down. So I
Yeah,
think that just makes sense.
I agree. The Chargers, we don't know what they're gonna do, but they're probably gonna fire Brandon Staley, I would guess. Herbert is still, I feel like, a top 5 potential quarterback, and hopefully they figure it out because I want to see them to be successful because I feel like they have the pieces. They just don't know how to put it together and win games. It's a coaching problem. They got to get
Yeah.
a better head coach. And if Bill Belichick's there, you got to go take him. I feel like that's enough for this podcast. We can end it off that note.
I do have one question.
Okay.
Another thing to note. The thing to note is the NFC picture we were right with the top five. Niners 1, Cowboys 2, Lions 3, Tampa 4, and the Eagles at 5, but it's actually the Vikings at 6 and the Packers at 7
Really?
right now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
The Vikings stink, and I don't believe in Nick Mullins to get the job done and be a playoff team.
And they
Um,
play Cincy.
I feel like one of those teams that are in the hunt right now, like Seahawks or who else? Who else is in that hunt?
Rams, Falcons.
Rams. I would say those two would get in. The Rams and the Seahawks would get in over the Vikings. I feel like those two teams
Yeah,
are
possibly.
better. I'd rather have those two teams in there. I feel like that would be better football. Like right now, I don't feel like Nick Mullins will get the job done and get them a playoff win. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
So,
agreed.
but
And
yeah,
my final question: that the end of the Chiefs game ended in some controversy. Do you
okay,
think?
yeah. Well, let's talk
And
about
the
this.
viral moment was Pat Mahomes like losing his cool on the sideline. Do you think it was justified for Mahomes to lose his cool, and has your perception on him maybe changed?
It's hard, right? Because Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and he is a competitor and always wants to win. So I feel like the emotions got to him, and that's why he unleashed like that. Because he knows they should be winning these games. And I feel like Andy Reid and the Chiefs and Mahomes, they'll all be fine. Like they know how to win these games. They're just letting these ones get away. Because these are regular season games. I feel like they'll be fine in the playoffs. But yeah, Mahomes doing that, it's not a good look. Um, did I did I lose respect for him? A little bit, but he did that because he's a competitor and it was like emotional that day, I guess. He was very high in emotion. But yeah, I lost a little respect, but that's what the competitors do. They're always trying to be better, and just because he didn't get his way, he got a little mad. I understand that. It's not the face of the franchise look to have, but all in all, I feel like Mahomes and the Chiefs will be fine and they'll get the job done in the
Mhm.
playoffs. And I know they've been losing the last few games, but I feel like they're still one of the top AFC teams to contend for a Super Bowl. So that's what I think
Yeah.
about that.
No, I still like Mahomes and everything, but what I didn't like, you don't blame the refs for losing. I just don't believe in that. You could have made a play here, could have made a play there. If Tony was on side, that's a hell of a play by Kelsey to throw it back to him. He scores. They win that game. But just it comes down to the details, and Tony was offside there, and apparently a couple of different times that they didn't call. So so you have that. I didn't like though when he went up to Allen. He's like, "Man, this is
Yeah,
effing terrible calls." I mean, he basically blaming him for losing to Josh Allen for the first time. Just give the man credit. He played really well that game. Allen's been playing much better, so I didn't like that. Just own the loss, man. It happens. I mean, no one was crying. They weren't crying that at the Super Bowl, right? A controversial holding call. I didn't see him saying anything. We weren't saying anything. We took it on the chin. Jalen Hurts wasn't complaining about it. We took it on the chin. And it's a regular season game, and they're acting like, oh, the refs are against us. Well, talk to every team. They'll say, yeah, we had to call go this way that affected us. So I did lose a little bit of respect there, a little bit. I still like him. I still think he's talented, a good dude. But yeah, come on, you can't blame the ref,
yeah,
especially with all. But you could point to every team. Everyone's been kind of vocal about it. So I think the officiating is an issue, and yeah, I don't think he went about it the right way.
yeah. I get it. I get it what you said and all that. But yeah, Mahomes, you got to be better there. I understand that, but the emotions got to him. That's why that happened. Because he knows that they should be winning these games and they're losing, and he's just mad about it. So that's why I feel like he just went an outburst and was just bitching the whole time. I guess you could say. But yeah, so we got those 2 points out of the way. That was good. I wanted to bring that up. I totally forgot about that. Kudos to Justin
Yeah,
for that.
no problem. This is not us saying we don't like him. I do have respect for him.
Yeah, he's
I
still the
just think
best
what he
quarterback in the
did was
league.
wrong, and I think another point is that end of the Packers game too, where it could have been PI. They didn't call it. They let it play out. It probably boiled over to that as well. And he's like, okay, something's up, but still, it's all right. You
Yeah,
could have lined up on onside. You could have won the game. It's still not on the refs. I feel like so. Just own it. That's all I would tell him. Just own it. Just bounce back the next week. You're too good. You're too
yeah,
talented. You're the best quarterback in the league.
yeah. All right. I
Yeah,
think
let's end it there.
now, I think now we can end the podcast. We got all the topics in from week 14, and week 15's already coming by. There's 4 weeks left. So sad. But yeah, we'll end the podcast here. If you guys want to see more, Benchwire content, drop a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We would really appreciate it. We got a
Hit the
link tree
like.
as well. So go check out our socials, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We'll be more active on that now that we're on winter break. So be on the lookout for that. So all in all, that's all we have for you guys today. Benchwire.
Out.